Hello and welcome to our DARPA-funded research presentation. Just going to go over some overviews on what is DARPA and what is SMISC program. So what is DARPA? DARPA is an initiative established in 1985 by the US military to advance technological research. And as of the example of their product would be ARPANET, which acts as a processor to today's internet. What is SMISC program? SMISC program specifically unveiled in 2011 and was an initiative by the US government to advance in detecting and conducting propaganda campaigns on social media. And its general goal was to develop a new science of social networks built on emerging technology bases. So what are some ethical issues with those studies? The program later became a tool for US government to sway and persuade public opinion with the means of social media. Projects like covert use of social media for propaganda is an example of that. Next slide, please. In terms of privacy, although the overall right of information is public and bought out from these social media companies, users never agree to specific use of their data, like running psychological tests on user behavior. And those specific studies require consent from an ethical standpoint and could be considered as a privacy breach. What are some crucial points here? Some crucial points and examples of breach were going further than merely monitoring users and manipulating opposite views and using private information by these social media companies. Next slide, please. So why is this important? This is a huge problem because it can influence the major and minor political and crucial events around the world. Each user is technically an influencer to a small group of other users, and a unifying opinion can be catastrophic in the wrong hands. And examples of these major actions are modeling Twitter users' attitude and spreading counter messages to anti-government threats.
So now I'm going to connect this back to the TCPS2. There's three ways we can look at this, and I'll start off with consent. So to start off, the participants were not informed of the study, nor did they give voluntary or ongoing consent throughout it. However, in this case, DARPA may be given an exception to requiring consent, as there is minimal risk to the participants, and if they were aware of the study, it might have changed the results. Regardless, our group still feels that participants should have been given the option to opt out of the study after it had been concluded. This now segues into the topic of privacy. Firstly, we can say that DARPA used all of its data from the public domain, which means that it can be exempt from an RAB review, according to the TCPS2. However, when it comes down to the information they collected from messaging users, this information came directly as a result of their actions with the user, so we believe consent should have been required for this portion of the study. Finally, we can look at this study in connection with the TCPS2 as a risk versus benefits analysis. We can argue that the outcome of the study is actually a net negative for society, as it could be used to conduct manipulation and spread propaganda by the government, which we believe is a harm. And looking at risk to participants, even though it is minimal risk to the participants, some of the participants used could have been minors, which in this case would mean that a full RAB review should have been done by the TCPS2 committee.
So how can we overcome these ethical issues? One of the most crucial components is transparency. Although DARPA published a lengthy list of projects funded under its SMISC program, this was only done prior to the Facebook controversy exploding. DARPA should have published this list as soon as the project was announced. Accuracy is also a critical factor in being ethical. On the DARPA webpage, it states that through the program, DARPA seeks to develop tools to support the efforts of human operators to counter misinformation or deception campaigns with truthful information. It is later revealed that the project scope, which was much wider than what was stated. The information is going to be used for influencing public thought, which comes with a broader set of complexities. Transparency throughout this entire research of not only gathering data, but how it will covertly impact people's opinion is much needed to overcome ethical issues. This transparency should come in the form of publishings by the organization carrying out the research and amendments to the data policies of the social media app being used. Along with transparency, informed and voluntary consent of participating in both the collection of data and the experiments performed thereafter are necessary as per TCPS2. Users should receive consent pop-ups prior to any funded experiments. This makes it clear and ethical to then perform research, since consent is voluntary, informed, and ongoing. All in all, ethical issues surrounding data collected from social media apps like Twitter, Facebook, and Pinterest are difficult to truly figure out. Organizations have the responsibility of handling data with care, but as an individual, just take those extra 5 minutes to figure out where and how your data is actually being used. Being informed in today's day and age goes a long way. With that said, thank you for watching.